Hello, welcome back or welcome to my booktube channel. This video is going to be focusing on a booktube tag called 10 before the end of the year, that is. This is supposed to be about books, 10 books that you want to finish reading before the end of the year. But let's be honest, I'm not going to read 10 books this month. I mean, I am currently reading 3 books, I think. I'm reading 3 books at the moment, and I'm going to be done some of them soon. But, 10 is a lot. I don't think I've ever read... Oh, no, that's not true. Yeah, because last month I actually read 12 books, I think, which is the most books I've ever read in a month. I felt like, whoa, what's wrong with me? I need to go outside more. But this particular video I'm going to make not necessarily in the books that I want to read and before December 31st, but these are 10 books that are currently on my radar that I would like to pick up soon. We got a few different languages today. We got some English, some French, some Spanish. Yeah, let's just jump into it. Let's just explore these books and see what my mind has been cluttered with recently. I have not been able to get to sleep because I have been thinking about these books and how much I want to read them, and I can't read them all at once, unfortunately. So let's talk about them at least. The first one here is called Death Valley by Melissa Broder. It has 3.64 stars out of 5 on Goodreads, with over 4,000 ratings and over 1,000 reviews. And it was only published October 3rd of this year. It says that this is a literary fiction with magical realism. That is right up my street, I must say. So let's see what it is about. We'll read the blurb. In Melissa Broder's astounding new novel, a woman arrives alone at a Best Western, seeking respite from an emptiness that plagues her. She has fled to the California high desert to escape a cloud of sorrow for both her father in the ICU and a husband whose illness is worsening. What the motel provides, however, is not peace, but a path, thanks to a receptionist who recommends a nearby hike. Out on the sun-scorched trail, the woman encounters a towering cactus whose size and shape mean it should not exist in California. Yet the cactus is there, with a gash through its side that beckons like a familiar door. So she enters it. What awaits her inside, this mystical succulent, sets her on a journey at once desolate and rich, hilarious and poignant. That sounds so weird. I love it. I love really odd literature when the story just kind of goes off the rails. I think that's why I like magical realism, because it is a touch of fantasy but set in the real world. And it's not always explained. You kind of have to figure it out based on, the story, the themes, the literary figures that are, creating this little narrative. And I find that fascinating. I find it puzzling. I find it just so much fun and also escapist, but in the best way, because I see it more as an art form and more as, a mystery that needs to be solved in a way, even though it's not a mystery at all. It's really cool. This is why I love literature. This is why I love books. I have this other book. It's called Josh by Ivan Southall. Yeah, and this is an Australian read, so that's fun. I haven't read too many Australian things, so this should actually be cool. The only reason why I want to read this, if I'm honest, is because this book haunted me throughout my childhood. I saw this in the basement of my grandparents' house. Next to the door to the basement, they had this little divider, which was like a see-through bookcase between the living space and the hallway to the bathroom and the laundry room. And this was always there. And my name is Josh. And this book's name is Josh. It called to me. It is calling my name, literally. So I've always wanted to read it. And for some reason, I felt like I couldn't touch it. I felt like, oh, this is for the adults. I can't touch this. My grandmother has given this book to me, and I am really excited to read it. It's not too long here. I think it's just about, 222 pages. So it could be a quick read. It's also supposed to be a chapter book for a young teenager, I think. So it's not going to be hard either. I don't expect it to be super profound. I just want to read it because we share the same name. And why wouldn't you want to read that? Why wouldn't I want to read it, you know? Wouldn't you want to read a book that's named after you? I think that should be a new challenge on BookTube here. I think people should read books that have their first name in the title. I'm setting it now. Okay, so this book here, according to Goodreads, is a 3.67 out of 5 stars. Not too bad, it's okay. Only 55 ratings and 11 reviews though, so not very well known, but I mean it is, 50 years old, so fair enough. Goodreads is newer, and it's not a classic. The genres are children's and Australia, so really there are no genres present here because those aren't really genres in my opinion. But this is what the book is about. So some kids are like me and some are like them, I guess. Josh Plowman, 14, was at odds with the other kids at Ryan Creek from the moment he arrived there. He was even at odds with Aunt Clara Plowman, who expected so much of him when all he wanted was to be himself. Oh, this is sounding kind of relate to this. But Ryan Creek was another world. The world of Bill and Rex, the 2 O'Connor boys, and their sister Betsy. The world of Laura and Harry Jones, red-haired Jimmy, and all the other kids who expected a plowman to be all the things Josh wasn't. Okay, I think I might actually like this, and I think I might identify with this story. Very sweet and simple blurb there, not much to go off of. But it sounds pretty relatable, at least based on how I felt growing up. I'm disappointed I did not pick this up sooner. I probably would have really enjoyed this as a kid. Anyway, I'm excited to read it now, so thank you, Grandma. Thank you. Set that aside here. The next book that I'm really looking forward to reading, and which has probably been on my brain the longest, is actually called Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. If you are into books and you have explored YouTube and, Instagram in the bookish space, then I'm sure you've heard of this. Ali Hazelwood is this huge romance novelist who combines, science with romance. She challenges romance novels and the romance genre by adding STEM characters, which I think is so important. We need that diversity, and we also need that encouragement too. Her main characters are always female, and they are involved in the sciences. This one is 3.93 out of 5 stars. It's quite high. It actually won a Goodreads Choice Award, which was that it was a nominee for Best Romance in 2022. And its genres are contemporary romance. I want to read this one because I read the first book, which is called The Love Hypothesis, and I laughed out loud when I was reading that. It was so good. I bought it for my wife, and she loved it, and she encouraged me to read it. I read it, and now I feel like I bought a gift for both of us. And, Love on the Brain, I have right here. I bought this for her too, and now I think I'm going to read it because she really liked it. And also because I have a friend. We were supposed to buddy read this, and I screwed up and forgot. She read it, and I haven't yet. So I need to finish this and get this read because we need to talk about it, her and I. Anyways, let's read what this is about, shall we? Like an avenging purple-haired Jedi bringing balance to the mansplained universe, B. Königswasser lives by a simple code. What would Marie Curie do? If NASA offered Marie her dream neuroengineering project, she would accept without hesitation. Duh! But the mother of modern physics never had to co-lead with Levi Ward. Sure, Levi has soul-piercing eyes. And sure, he caught her in his powerfully corded arms like a romance novel hero when she accidentally damseled in distress on her first day in the lab. But Levi made his feelings toward Bee clear in grad school. Arch enemies work best when employed in their own galaxies far, far away. Now her equipment is missing. The staff ignores her, and Bee finds her floundering career in somewhat of a pickle. Perhaps it's her occipital cortex playing tricks on her, but Bee could swear she can see Levi softening into an ally. backing her plays, devouring her with those eyes. And the possibilities have all her neurons firing. But when it comes time to actually make a move and put her heart on the line, there's only one question that matters. What will B. Königswasser do? Okay. This sounds so good. This sounds amazing. I really like this. This actually sounds like it might be better than the Love Hypothesis. I think a lot of people preferred the first one, but honestly, this one sounds great. I'm excited to read this. Oh, that's sweet. Okay, let's see the next one here. This next one is Love Pamela. I've been thinking about this ever since, I saw Pamela Anderson doing interviews, whether on the red carpet or on actual talk shows like the Drew Barrymore show. This is her memoir, and it focuses on her career. And there is some poetry in here, I've heard, so it's also part poetry, and that intrigues me because I feel like poetry is very vulnerable and raw, and sometimes even more so than fiction. So it's kind of cool to see how people's minds work and think. And I'm also curious to see her side of the story, because I know what the world was thinking in the 90s when she was becoming famous. I want to hear, what actually happened from her perspective. So this is what it says here if you're not familiar with Pamela Anderson. Pamela Anderson's blonde bombshell image was ubiquitous in the 1990s. Discovered in the stands during a Canadian football game, because she is Canadian, she was quickly launched into superstardom, becoming Playboy's favorite cover girl and an emblem of Hollywood glamour and sex appeal. Yet the Pamela Anderson we think we know was created through happenstance rather than careful cultivation. Love Pamela brings forth her true story, that of a small-town girl getting tangled up in her own dream. Growing up on Vancouver Island... Oh, I didn't know she was from Vancouver Island. I thought she was just from Vancouver. The daughter of a young, wild, and unwittingly stylish parent, Pamela lived a hard-scrabble childhood, but developed a deep love for nature, populating her world with misfits, apparitional friends, and injured animals. Eventually overcoming her natural shyness, Pamela's restless imagination propelled her into a life few can dream of, from the beaches of Malibu to the coveted scene at the Playboy Mansion. As her star rose, she found herself a fixture of tabloid fodder, at the height of an era when paparazzi tactics were bent on destroying a person's image and self-esteem. Pamela forged ahead with grace, finding sanctuary in her love of art and literature, and emerged a devoted mother and activist. Now, having returned to the island of her childhood after a memorable run starring as Roxy in Chicago on Broadway, Pamela is telling her story. A story of an irrepressible, free spirit coming home and discovering herself anew at every turn. With vivid prose interspersed with bursts of original poetry, Love Pamela is a pensive, layered, and unforgettable memoir. I hope it's a pensive and layered one, because that's when a memoir is good. At least in my opinion. Next one here is actually a children's book, a picture book to be more precise. It's called My Little Sweet Boy by Hilary Duff. Now, I want to read this book because I've actually read her other book called My Little Brave Girl. This, I believe, is a companion book to My Little Brave Girl. I feel like this is kind of a trend in children's literature at the moment. This one, I'm not sure what entirely it's about, but it has 3.64 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and it was recently published, actually, November 7th of this year. I did not know that. Let's see what this is actually about. The sky has so much to show you, my little sweet boy. Let every color, shape, and season fill your world. Inspiring young boys to be as gentle as they are strong, this beautiful book explores the tumbles and triumphs of childhood. Okay, not much to go off there. I've been thinking a lot about this because I did recently read the counterpart to this particular book. So that's why. I'm wondering if this will, challenge toxic masculinity even in a light way. I kind of hope so, but it's hard to say. Hilary Duff's first book was nothing, well, her other book, I don't know if it was her first, but her other book, it was nothing too fancy, nothing too profound, but it was very sweet. And this one has sweet in the title, so I'm sure this will also be sweet. So, next book here, it's another book that I actually have. This one is in Spanish. It's called Que Viva la Música, by Andrés Caicedo. This one has 3.78 out of 5 stars, quite high. It is historical fiction, it is about music, it is also considered a classic. I don't know a lot about Colombian classic literature, but I have read a lot of Colombian literature recently, and I'm enjoying it. So I'm assuming I'm going to enjoy this too. But let's read what this is about. I'm going to read this in Spanish. I will include English subtitles down below. You can follow along. Que viva la música es una novela de iniciación. Es la invitación a una fiesta sin fin, donde su protagonista dejará que el mundo baje hasta el pozo sin fondo de sus propios excesos. Pero con felicidad, con absoluta dicha. Hay un pacto secreto con la muerte en esta danza de María del Carmen Huerta, la rubia protagonista de sus páginas. Pero es la muerte dulce de las celebraciones, el paisaje, los afectos, la noche, la niñez que huye, la adolescencia triunfal, el rock and roll, los Rolling Stones, la salsa, Ricardo Rae, Bobby Cruz, las drogas, Cali, o Cali con una K, según la ortografía de la narradora. Es asimismo una iniciación al descubrimiento de una ciudad colombiana, única, mágica e irrepetible, que comienza por el cielo del norte con su avenida Sexta, su parque Versalles y sus parajes mágicos, hasta llegar al infierno del sur con su caseta panamericana, su río Pante, sus barrios más allá de Miraflores, su cordillera de los Andes salada y los refugios de la salsa y el sexo. This book, like I said, says a lot but doesn't say much. It kind of seems like an exploration of Colombia, of a particular part of Colombia anyway, and it definitely seems very cultural, which makes sense why I guess one of the other genres listed here is cultural. So it looks like it's going to be kind of representative of that particular region or that particular city. It sounds very rich, it sounds very potentially beautiful. And when I look inside the book, I see that the way that it is written is a little Proustian. And by that I mean that the sentences, some of them are very, very, very long. And it's almost like a stream of consciousness in a way. And there are tons and tons of compliments, like grammatical compliments, tons of imagery, and description, detail. And sometimes it's a little bit hard to follow. But this particular book does seem to have shorter paragraphs than, oh gosh, I say that right as I turn to 2 pages. That's literally all one paragraph. Well, in the rest of the book, it seems to be shorter paragraphs compared to this other Spanish book that I'm reading, which is also very Proustian. And those are much longer, I must say. It could be okay. Either way, I'm looking forward to reading this, and it's definitely on my radar. I've been thinking a lot about it. I'm just so curious. The next book, which is called The Rewind, pardon the Walmart sticker here. These things are so hard to get off. I wish they wouldn't do this to books, but you know. This is called The Rewind by Alison Wynne Scotch. This is 3.23 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Not very high. It is a Christmas, New Year's Eve type romance. This book I got as a gift from my wife earlier this year. I've been saving it for December. So hopefully I actually get to reading it. If I don't read it in December, you know, I wouldn't mind reading it in January too, the beginning of January. It could be kind of fun, but we'll see. So this is what the book is about. 2 exes wake up together with wedding bands on their fingers and no idea how they got there. They have just one New Year's Eve at the end of 1999 to figure it out in this big-hearted and nostalgic rom-com from New York Times bestselling author Alison Wynne Scotch. I feel like there's so many New York Times bestselling authors and I haven't heard of any of them, and I read a lot. So, wow, it's incredible. When college sweethearts Frankie and Ezra broke up before graduation, they vowed never to speak to each other again. 10 years later, on the eve of the new millennium, they find themselves back on their snowy New England campus for the wedding of mutual friends. Frankie's on the rise as a music manager for the hottest bands of the late 90s, and Ezra's ready to propose to his girlfriend after the wedding. Everything is going to plan. They just have to avoid the chasm of emotions brought up when they inevitably come face to face. But when they wake up in bed next to each other the following morning with Ezra's grandmother's diamond on Frankie's finger, they have zero memory of how they got there, or about any of the events that transpired the night before. Now, Frankie and Ezra have to put aside old grievances in order to figure out what happened, what didn't happen, and to ask themselves the most troubling question of all. What if they both got it all wrong the first time around? And something that Emily Giffin actually says, and Emily Giffin is a huge contemporary romance novelist. She says it's a charming love story rich with 90s nostalgia. And I don't know, I really like it when a book has nostalgia, like Ready Player One. Oh, that was great. So if this has 90s nostalgia, that might be fun. I think that'll be really cool. That alone makes me want to read this book. Anyway, here, book number, 8? This one's exciting. This one I want to read so bad. This one in Death Valley, these are my top contenders, man. This is called Shark Heart by Emily Habeck. And this currently has been nominated for a Goodreads Choice Award 2023 for, Best Debut Novel and also Best Fiction. I am so excited to read this. It seems fascinating. It has 4.11 out of 5 stars, which is quite high. That's over 12,000 ratings, 3,000 reviews. That's a lot of reviews. The genres here are magical realism and literary fiction, right up my alley. Let's see what it's about, shall we? Newlyweds face the unimaginable in this epic tale about marriage, motherhood, and enduring love. For Lewis and Ren, also I love the name Ren. I use that name all the time on The Sims. If any of you play The Sims out there, name your Sims Ren. It's such a good name. I don't know why, but it's so good. I wouldn't name my child that in real life, but it's a good sim name, I think. Anyway, for Lewis and Ren, their first year of marriage is also their last. Oh no, I forgot about that. A few weeks after their wedding, Lewis receives a rare diagnosis. He will retain most of his consciousness, memories, and intellect. Okay, it's coming back to me. But his physical body will gradually turn into a great white shark. Another weird book. I'm so pumped. As Lewis develops the features and impulses of one of the most predatory creatures in the ocean, his complicated artist's heart struggles to make peace with his unfulfilled dreams. At first, Ren internally resists her husband's fate. Is there a way for them to be together after Lewis changes? Then, a glimpse of Lewis's developing carnivorous nature activates long-repressed memories for Ren, whose story vacillates between her childhood living on a houseboat in Oklahoma, her time with a college ex-girlfriend, and her unusual friendship with a woman pregnant with twin birds. This book is so whack. Woven throughout this bold novel is the story of Ren's mother, Angela, who becomes pregnant with Ren at 15 in an abusive relationship amidst her parents' crumbling marriage. In the present, all of Ren's grief eventually collides, and she's forced to make an impossible choice. A sweeping love story that is at once lyrical and funny, airy and visceral, Shark Heart is an unforgettable, gorgeous novel about life's perennial questions, the fragility of memories, finding joy amidst grief, and creating a meaningful life. This daring debut marks the arrival of a wildly talented new writer abounding with originality, humor, and heart. This sounds fantastic. When I saw this nominated for the Goodreads Choice Awards this year, I jumped on that train so hard. I added it to my TBR. I definitely want to get this from the library. It was published this past summer, August 8th, 2023. I think this one I want to read as my number one priority, even over Death Valley. This one seems so fantastically weird. I'm so curious why he's turning into a shark. What could this possibly mean in terms of the profundity of the story? What is going on? And, this sounds so good. So good. This book here is called Une autre idée du bonheur by Marc Levy. This is a French novel, and when I say French novel, not only is it written in French, but it's also from France. Let's read the back here. Or before we do so, 3.91 out of 5 stars. Pretty high. Marc Levy is one of the, top authors of France. He usually has pretty high reviews. He has nearly 3,000 ratings with 258 reviews. The genres of this book include, adventure. It's an adventure. I think it might be a road trip type book, which I'm not normally into, but this does seem pretty interesting to me, so I'm making an exception. It says it is an adventure romance, and it features French as well as Russian culture. So, cool. Quand une vie ordinaire devient extraordinaire. Philadelphie, au premier jour du printemps 2010. Agatha sort de prison, mais pas par la grande porte. Après 30 ans derrière les barreaux, il ne lui restait que quelques années à faire. Alors pourquoi cette évasion? Dans une station-service proche du campus, elle s'invite à bord de la voiture de Mélie et l'entraîne dans sa cavale sans rien lui révéler de sa situation. Dotée d'un irrésistible appétit de vivre, Agatha fait voler en éclats la routine confortable de Mélie. 20 ans les séparent, mais au fil du voyage, les deux femmes partagent ces rêves qu'il n'est jamais trop tard pour réaliser et évoquent ces amours qui ne s'éteignent pas. 5 jours en voiture à travers les États-Unis. À chaque étape, une rencontre avec un personnage surgi du passé les rapprochera du secret d'Agatha. Jusqu'où devons-nous aller de notre quête insatiable du bonheur? À quoi ne faut-il jamais renoncer? Dans ce roman, Marc Levy réaffirme notre besoin inconditionnel de liberté et nous fait aussi découvrir un pan méconnu de l'histoire américaine. Yeah, it sounds like a good little road trip. I am excited to read this. This is definitely on my radar and has been for a while, so we'll be getting to that soon. Lastly, if you saw one of my other videos, my book haul video, you will have heard about this one. So pardon the repeat, but this one has been on my mind for quite some time, and it fits the season. Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. This one, man, this one sounds good. This one has 3.59 out of 5 stars, sorry. It is a Christmas romance. Gotta love a good Christmas romance, especially for the Christmas season. This one has, over 19,000 ratings and over 3,000 views. Super duper popular. Apparently she's a very popular novelist. I have not read anything by her before, but I am excited to read my first Tessa Bailey novel. Also, look how fun that is! Christmassy! I am such an apaixonado. Anyway, so this one says, Melody Gallard may be the daughter of music royalty, but her world is far from glamorous. She spends her days restoring old books and avoiding the limelight. One awkward tabloid photo was enough, thanks. But when a producer offers her a lot of money to reunite her mother's band on live TV, Mel begins to wonder if it's time to rattle the cage, shake up her quiet life, and see him again, the only other person who could wrangle the rock and roll divas. Beat Dawkins, interesting name. Beat Dawkins, the lead singer's son, is Melody's opposite. The camera loves him. He could charm the pants off anyone, and his mom is not a potential cult leader. Still, they might have been best friends if not for the legendary feud that broke up the band. When they met as teenagers, Mel felt an instant spark, but it's nothing compared to the wild, intense attraction that builds as they embark on a madcap mission to convince their mothers to perform one last show. While dealing with rock star shenanigans, a 24-hour film crew, brawling Santas and mobs of adoring fans, Mel starts to step out of her comfort zone. With Beat by her side, cheering her on, she's never felt so understood. But Christmas Eve is fast approaching, and a decades-old scandal is poised to wreck everything. The Steelbirds reunion, their relationships with their mothers, and their newfound love. There you have it. Those are all of the books, 10 books to be exact, 10 before the end of this year. These are some of them. The others I will be getting from the library. Let me know what you think about these books. Do any appeal to you? Are any of these on your 10 before the end list? Do you have a 10 before the end list? And if so, what are the books that are on that list? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for spending your time here with me. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed nerding out over my favorite books, or at least, books I hoped that will become my favorite, because I haven't read them yet, but I'm excited to start. Until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful day, evening, morning, night, wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you soon. Take care and bye for now.